The dining table looked picture perfect. Candles lit, plates neatly arranged, my mother's favorite silverware gleaming under the warm light. It should have felt like home, but that night, it felt like a courtroom. My parents sat across from me, exchanging glances that told me this wasn't a regular dinner. My brother and sister were there too, whispering and smirking like they already knew what was coming. I had just lost my job a month ago, and since rent in the city had gotten insane, I'd moved back home temporarily. I helped around the house, paid small bills, and mostly kept to myself. I thought I was doing okay, but apparently, that night, they decided I wasn't. Dad cleared his throat. "We've been talking," he began, his tone heavy with authority. "And we think it's time you started pulling your weight." Mom jumped in. "You can stay here, but only in the guest room. Or you can move out if you don't like that. Your choice." I froze. "The guest room? That's smaller than the storage closet," I said quietly. She shrugged, cutting her steak calmly. "Then you can always find somewhere else." My brother laughed. "Guess it's time to grow up." Huh? The words hit me harder than I expected. I looked at each of them, the people who were supposed to be my safety net, and realized I wasn't part of this family anymore. I was an inconvenience. I didn't argue. I just nodded, finished my food in silence, and excused myself. Upstairs, I sat on my bed staring at the walls I'd once covered with college photos and memories. It was strange how the same place that once made me feel safe now felt like someone else's house. That night, I decided I wouldn't stay where I wasn't wanted. But leaving wasn't just about walking away. It would be about showing them who they'd just underestimated. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about how easily they'd dismissed me. My own parents, people who had once cheered when I got into college, now treating me like a burden they were tired of carrying. By sunrise, I'd made up my mind. If they wanted me gone, I'd go. But when I did, they'd never be able to look down on me again. By the next afternoon, I'd packed my essentials, laptop, a few clothes, and my camera. I left quietly, without any dramatic speeches. Just a simple note on the kitchen counter. "Thanks for the stay. I'll figure things out on my own." The first few weeks were rough. I rented a tiny room above a cafe, the kind where the walls were thin and the heater barely worked. I started freelancing online, graphic design, photography, small gigs that barely covered food and rent. But I worked like a person possessed. Every rejection email only pushed me harder. Every insult from that dinner replayed in my mind like fuel. Days blurred into nights. I stopped keeping track of weekends. I studied design trends, took online courses, reached out to clients overseas. Slowly, the work started to come in, small projects at first, then steady contracts. One of my designs caught the attention of a mid-sized marketing agency. They liked my creativity and offered me a trial project. I nailed it. That one project became my doorway out of struggle. Within months, I was working full-time, leading small campaigns, and making enough to move into my own apartment. I didn't tell my parents. Not yet. I wasn't ready to share success with people who'd mocked my fall. A year passed. My agency grew fast. We landed a big tech client that changed everything. Overnight, my designs were featured across billboards and social media. The campaign went viral. I was promoted to creative director. My name was suddenly associated with something meaningful, something that mattered. Then came the call. My sister's number flashed on my screen. I hesitated, but picked up. "Hey," she said softly, "Mom and Dad, they're hosting another dinner. They said you should come." I almost laughed. "After everything?" "They've changed," she said. "Just come once." So I did. The night I walked back into that house, everything looked the same. Same chandelier, same long table, same seats. But the energy was different. They looked nervous. My father's confident tone was gone. My mother fidgeted with her napkin. Finally, Dad spoke. "We saw your name on that ad campaign downtown. That's your work, right?" I nodded. "Yeah." Mom forced a smile. "It's impressive. We're proud of you." I didn't say anything at first. I just looked at them, the people who once told me I could take the guest room or move out, now struggling to make eye contact. The irony was sharp. They'd made me leave to teach me a lesson, but I'd learned one they never expected, that I never needed their permission to succeed. Dinner went on awkwardly. My brother made a few jokes, trying to lighten the mood. My sister kept giving me supportive glances. When it ended, my father stopped me at the door. "We didn't mean to push you away," he said. "We just thought it would motivate you." I smiled faintly. It did, but the truth was, it motivated me not to impress them, but to prove to myself that I could stand without anyone's help. As I drove away that night, I realized something important. Some families teach love through care, others through absence. Mine did both, just in the most painful way possible. But I didn't resent them anymore. They built the walls I needed to climb over to find my own strength. And while they might have seen me as the weak one that night at dinner, I knew the truth now. I was the one who walked away and built a life from scratch. A week after that dinner, Mom called again. Her voice was softer this time, not commanding, not defensive, just unsure. "You know," she said, "we didn't expect you to make it on your own. Not like this." I didn't know how to respond. There was a part of me that still wanted to hear those words, "We're sorry," but I realized I didn't need them anymore. I'd already built my peace without their approval. Over the next few months, they tried to reconnect. My dad would send random messages, "Saw your interview online," or "You always had that spark." Mom started asking for advice on social media stuff. Small steps, awkward but genuine. I didn't reject them, but I didn't rush back either. Some wounds need time, and I wasn't about to pretend the past never happened. One evening, I drove by my old house. The lights were on, the same curtains, the same porch. I sat there in my car for a while, remembering the night they'd given me that choice, stay in the guest room or leave. Back then, I thought it was punishment. Now, I understood it was the push that shaped everything I'd become. Life has a strange way of using pain as a teacher. That night, I lost a home, but found my independence. I lost their approval, but discovered self-respect. And when I looked at where I stood now, a stable career, my own place, peace of mind, I realized I didn't just move out of their house. I moved beyond their version of me. People think family always means unconditional love. It doesn't. Sometimes it means learning to forgive those who never apologized and still choosing to move forward. Before I drove off, I whispered to myself, "Thank you for not believing in me." Because if they had, I might have stayed comfortable, and comfort never built anything worth remembering. That night, I didn't just feel free. I finally felt home.